Good morning, dear pupils and students. I'm glad to greet you at our English lesson from International House Toshkent Academic Classroom. My name is Marina Lebedeva. I congratulate all the people of our country with the coming holiday. And let's start our lesson. My topic for today is reported speech. I'm going to speak how we should transform sentences, how should we change them in order to get this tense. Actually, it's really important rule because every day we speak and we express not only our ideas, but we tell others words and other information. That's why we really need this rule. Well, reported speech. Another name of this rule is indirect speech. It means that if you will say indirect or reported, actually both of them are correct. And you may choose any of them. They are equal in their meaning. So now let's look what should we change for the first of all in this rule. Can you see that in direct speech we have someone's words or saying and its original version. It means we just express someone's words without any changing even. But in direct or in reported speech, we retell someone's words and we should make some changings. Maybe not in the meaning, but some details that we should. We cannot leave this sentence without any changing absolutely. It won't be reported speech. It will be direct or it will be mistaken reported speech. So what kind of changings we'll discuss? We should do in reported speech. Pronouns, adverbs of time or adverbs of place, and tenses. We should change these things, and how should we change? I'll explain right now. Now please look here, pronouns. So my, we should change to his or her. This, that, we should change to the or that. Can you see the word noun that I fixed after this or that? It means that if you have noun after these two words, you should fix exactly that words which are gave in the second table, in the second column. These, those, plural form of this pronoun with noun also will be like the and those. The next one is this, that plus verb. Instead of noun, we may use verb in the sentence. It depends on meaning of that sentence that you express. So you should say only one word, it, in all the cases. Next one is these, those, plus verb again, and it will be they. And another is verb plus these, those. I'd like to pay your attention to these two last examples. So actually you should remember that place of the verb is really important in such kind of rule. If your verb will be at the beginning, I mean before these or those, you will say them. If you will have verb after these words, you should say they. So the next one is about adverbs, adverbs of time and adverbs of place. Of course, we retell in our reported speech. It means that the time has already changed, and that's why we should do some changings. So here will be changed to there. Now will be then, at the moment, at that moment, tomorrow, the next day or the following day. Two versions, actually you may use any of them. Both of them are correct and appropriate in such kind of situation. Tomorrow. Yesterday. Yesterday will be the day before or the previous day. These two words are also equal in their meaning and both of them are correct in reported speech. Then tonight, that night. Ago will be before. next week or next month or next year, it depends on your speech of course, will be the following week or month or year. The same situation with the last week. Last week, last month, last year will be the week, the month or the year before. So now I'd like to talk about tenses. We may divide our sentence into two parts. And if you have in your reported speech, in your sentence, in the main part is author's words. For example, he says or we say. This is the main sentence. If we have in the main sentence verbs in present form like present indefinite or present perfect or future indefinite, we shouldn't change any tense in the text. In the text we have subject clause. We may say in indirect speech, in indirect part, but it will be not professional explanation. You should say subject clause, main sentence and subject clause. So if you have present tense or future simple in your main sentence, you should change only pronouns and only adverbs of time or place. Tense will stay without any changings. So now let's look at some examples. So he says, in brackets I fixed, has said, will say. It's like a variation that you may use instead of says, and it's also possible, as I told you before, present simple, present perfect and future indefinite. So my lessons begin at 9 o'clock. How should we transform this sentence into reported? He says that his lessons begin at 9 o'clock. I highlighted with a red color the word that. Why? Because this word is like a union, is like a connective word that we use in order to connect these parts, in order to connect main part and subject clause. You may omit this word, exclude. It means you may just leave this word and do not write. It won't be a mistake, but if you will write, you will make your speech more beautiful, you will join to these parts, it will be easier for you. Some people do not exclude this word from their sentence. Next one, says his begin. I underlined. Why? Because I'd like to pay your attention to these words. Says. Can you see that says will stay without changings? Then his. My, I changed to his. As I told you before, pronoun my should be changed to his. And begin. Begin stays without changing because we have present tense in main part in author's words. Next sentence, we use present perfect in this sentence. He has said, says or will say. I fixed also like a variation that you may use in your sentence. And in your text, please look, children will come at 4 o'clock. Actually, we cannot combine perfect and future in our simple sentences. It's impossible, it's uncombinable two tenses. But if you have reported speech and present perfect, in this case, in main part, you may leave future in your reported, in your subject clause. So please look, has said, without changings, that is a union, then will come without any changings. We don't have any adverb of place or time, that's why no changings. And we don't have any pronouns that we should change. Children will stay children. And please remember one more detail, that author's words will stay without any changings always. You shouldn't change them absolutely because it's main sentence. So such kind of rule we have. Now we'll talk about coordination of tenses in indirect speech. I mean, if we have past tense in our main sentence. in our author's words, not say or has said, but past tense. So you should remember this, because if you will say in a correct way, it will sound not so good. Now, I will, first of all, show you why should we change tenses. Could you see direct speech? I divided two sentences, main sentence and subject clause. They are unequal in our direct speech because we have a main sentence and then in our text, in our brackets, subject clause. That's why this part of the sentence, subject part, may stay without any changing. We may use any tense, but in indirect speech, we should make them equal. That's why we should combine, we should choose suitable tenses for this past form of main sentence. How can it be? Here is a table for you that you should remember. Please fix this table for yourself. It's really useful. I fixed present tenses for the first of all, present simple, present continuous, present perfect continuous, and for past tenses. And I showed you how should you change them. Please look there, and as you can see, past perfect, I fixed there even 3 times in that column, and past perfect continuous was fixed also 3 times. So it's not a mistake, it's okay. You should remember some tenses like past perfect and past perfect continuous. As you can see, they stay without any changing. Can you see past perfect? Will stay past perfect, and past perfect continuous will stay past perfect continuous also. Now let's look at some concrete situations. We will talk about present tenses. I mean present tenses in subject clause. Please look. If you have present simple in your subject, like he works as an editor, in our reported speech, that part, subject clause, will become into past simple. He said that he worked as an editor. Past simple we create using ed ending or the second column of irregular verbs. It's really simple. We use this tense when we talk about something regular or that happened simply in the past once. The next one is about continuous, present continuous. If we have present continuous, it means something is prolonged for some period of time, but that moment passed already. That's why we talk about past. We cannot say that something is still prolonged, is still continuing. It's impossible. Maybe you will retell this word, this sentence after a month. That's why anyway, it's impossible that something will be continuing for a long period. That's why past continuous we use in such kind of sentence. Please look. He said that he was working as an editor. So was working created from is working. One changing is auxiliary verb was instead of is. The next one is present perfect simple. Present perfect sometimes people call present resultative. I mean just perfect is resultative. Why? Because we talk about result, which we may discuss that we have up to some moment. If it is present, result up to now. If it is past, result up to some moment in the past. Future, so it means that in future. Perfect simple. Some student may ask, why simple? We used to use present perfect only. Actually, if you will see, present perfect simple is the same with present perfect. It isn't another rule, no, it's the same. But some people add these because after that I will explain, I will show, you will discuss present perfect continuous. That's why instead of that we may fix simple. If you want, you may omit this word, absolutely. So, sentence itself. He has worked as an editor. Has worked is in present perfect. Present perfect we use to transform into past perfect. Actually, when we use past perfect, it means that we have two actions, and both of them in the past. One of them was finished or happened earlier. That one will be in past perfect. Another action, as a rule, we fix in past indefinite. So in past indefinite we already have he said, and he had worked as an editor happened far more earlier before person told us about that thing. So remember this. Present perfect continuous, as I told you before, will be transformed to past perfect continuous. Look please, he has been working as an editor. Present perfect continuous we use when we talk about something that finished only partly up to now. It is still continuing, but we have some results, some part of that work. So he has been working will be transformed to past form had been working. Auxiliary has we transform to had. It means that some action, I mean this tense, past perfect continuous, was partly finished up to some moment in the past. And it still was continuing. We don't know about result, but so now we'll talk about past tenses. I mean past tenses in our subject clause. In the main part we still have past tense. So please, past simple in our subject clause. Please look, he worked as an editor. I took the same sentence because I would like to show how should we transform, how we may do some changings. It will be easier to understand if you will read the same sentence in each example. Well, let's come back. We'll transform to past perfect. I have already told you about this rule, about usage of this tense. So please, he has said that he had worked as an editor. So again, two actions. One of them finished earlier than another action in the past. So had worked, finished earlier, he said a little bit later. Past continuous. Past continuous will be transformed to past perfect continuous. As you can see, we use past perfect continuous already in the second time in my table here. So he was working as an editor. Some period of time, some action was prolonged in past. We use past continuous when we talk about something that is continuing at the moment of someone's speech. So the words were said in the past. That's why it is actual that action was prolonged also in the past. And by the way, one detail about this rule, I mean continuous, any continuous, present, past, future, we may use this tense when we talk about not only some action that is happening at the moment of speech, but also that takes some period of our life. For example, now I'm preparing for my entrance exams. It takes some period from my life. For example, months, 2 months, 1 year. So after some period of time, this action will be finished, and that is all. So as you can see, past continuous may be transformed into past perfect continuous tense. You should use all these words, all these auxiliaries, because if you will exclude them, it will be a mistake. Now, past perfect simple. Now look please at past perfect simple. He had worked as an editor. Past perfect simple or past perfect itself, we transform to past perfect simple. It means without changing absolutely. Why? Because we needn't change. This tense is really suitable for our speech. Something happened in the past, so anyway, it will be the same situation. We shouldn't emphasize some moment, we shouldn't change something, or like this. If you want, of course, you may add some pronouns. If you will prolong your sentence, if you will give some additional information, you may do this. And of course, you may put some adverbs of time, adverbs of place, and it depends on you. If you would like to give your listener some extra information, no problem. You may add anything you want. For example, here you may change to there, yesterday, and so on. No problem for you. Past perfect continuous. This tense is also fixed without any changings. Why? Because this moment is really suitable for our reported or indirect speech. So something was finished only partly up to some moment. Maybe someone was interrupted. I'd like to say about this tense a little bit. Maybe something was finished only partly. Maybe you interrupted or someone interrupted the speaker, and he may express such kind of tense that had been working. Some action was finished only partly. Please remember this. If you would like to say when that action was finished or will be finished, you should fix this in your own words. You should say this, you should express. It's not that information that you should say that you cannot omit. So, now I finished to talk about tenses. Now, please look at this sentence. I would like to say about one more detail. Actually, he said to me, look please. We have not only one person who said, but another one, object. An objective case. My group mate has taken my laptop. So, in our reported speech, we'll have he told me that his group mate had taken his laptop. I highlighted so many words and I will explain usage of each this word. So, he said to me. Before I fixed all examples, he said, without person to whom I or someone told that word. So that's why when we have person, another person who was said, we should say told. Because tell and say, it is expressing our words. But we have one small detail, one small difference. When we just express our information, would like to speak, we may use the word say. When we have some person with whom we may speak, we should say told. For example, I said really important fact. I said and that's all, I expressed that information, but I told her some interesting fact. I have the word her, that's why I should say told someone. That's why remember such kind of rule, say something, tell someone. That's why I made such kind of changing. To me, we may leave without changing because we talk about us. We shouldn't change anything here. So that is a union between main part of this sentence and between our subject clause about our sentence that we transform from direct into reported speech. Then my, as you remember in pronouns that I showed you before, my should be changed to his. Because we talk about him. Well, if we had she, we could transform my to her. Well, group mate will stay without changing. Has taken, we should transform to had taken. We should change tenses because in the main we have past tense That's why in another part we should make some changings. So instead of has taken, we'll use had taken. My, again, we talk about his laptop. That's why we should fix this in our sentence. Other words like he, it is in the main part of the sentence. We shouldn't change. Groupmate and laptop will stay without changings. In this sentence, I wanted to show how should you use words say and tell. Said and told. So, that is all for today about our reported speech. I hope that you understood everything that I told you before. How should you transform your sentences? How should you change pronouns, adverbs of time, adverbs of place, and other tenses? So if you have main part in present tense, you shouldn't change any tense in your subject clause. But if you have in your main sentence any past tense, it may be not only past simple, it may be any past tense, you should change your subject clause. Of course, you should remember this. It's really important for your daily life because every day, as I told you before, as I told you at the beginning of our lesson, we used to retell others' words. We used to express something that we heard from someone. It's something interesting maybe for fun or something really serious. That's why in order to enlarge your vocabulary, in order to make your language more advanced, especially for your exams, for your international exams like IELTS, TOEFL, you should enlarge your language not only with your new words that you learn by heart, of course, that you should learn by heart, but also with usage of such kind of rules. So, I'd like to thank you. If you have some questions, you may write to my mail. I will answer to your questions. And don't forget about registration that you may do using number that I fixed on their screen. So, have a good day. Thank you. Goodbye.